8th graders, it is week 4 of online learning. Seriously, this is just bizarre that here we are learning through the computer, but it is working. We're doing our best, so let's keep going. This week, we are going to be continuing off of last week. So last week, we were busy with starting our autobiography. We were working on the brainstorming process and the 6+1 writing traits, and moving forward, we're going to continue on those, and we're going to work on the drafting and organization phase of your autobiography, and I'll talk more about that as we go along here. We're also going to take a membing quiz this week that will be delivered to you on Wednesday. And then we're also going to start a new novel online. And our novel is one of my favorites, The Outsiders. So this was a copy that I brought home with me, so that's why there's a little piece of tape on front of this. But anyway, that is the new book that we're going to be reading together online, and I'll talk more about that as we continue here. Okay, so here we go. Our online learning opportunities are OLO. Again, I have a little welcome letter for you to get started. And then learning targets. We're going to jump straight into it today. Start here. I want to do a well-being check because I truly do miss you guys, and I want to know how you're doing. So if you could just send me an email. I linked my email right here for you. You just have to click on it, and it should pop open a new email for you. Just tell me how you're doing. Like I said earlier, we're going to have a membing quiz, which will be shared with you on Wednesday this week. I will share that with you around 9 a.m., and then it will be open for 24 hours, which means it will close then on Thursday around 9 a.m. If that 24-hour block is a conflict for you, please let me know, and we can reschedule a time for you to take your membing quiz. I do want to remind you, as always, not to leave your screen once you have opened up the quiz, and we are going to be using the honor system here as you are taking your quiz from home. Reading. Keep up your reading. I know that we're not taking AR tests and there are no quizzes, but I really encourage you to keep reading at home. If you don't have a book at home, there are plenty of online resources for you. My Achieve students, keep up with those Achieve articles, 1 to 2 articles a week. I love to see your progress. You're doing great. Keep it up. Padlet, we're going to try a new resource this week. So instead of Flipgrid, we're going to try Padlet, and you might have used this before. I have not, so I'm excited to try out this new resource. And this resource will tie into your literature learning, because in your literature learning, I'm going to jump to that for a moment here. For your literature learning, you're going to do a scavenger hunt. Now, this scavenger hunt is going to be online for our Outsiders book, because our Outsiders book takes place in the 1960s. And we were not around during the 1960s. However, we can research through the internet, or maybe you have people in your family or neighbors or friends that you can talk to that were alive during the 1960s, and you can answer some of the questions on the scavenger hunt. There are different categories, and it's going to compare the 1960s to today. So here is an example for you. Elvis was a popular musician during the 1960s. However, think about today. Who is a popular musician in today's music? And then you can post their name and a picture of them here. And then after you have finished the scavenger hunt, then you'll go to this Padlet link here that I have for you. And it should look something like this when you open it up. And then down here, this is where you'll click to add a new comment on our board. And so you can type a title here. Maybe you want to type it. The title is Music of the 60s. And then you want to put Elvis, and then you can use these buttons down here to upload the picture and then post it on here, and then we can see your work. Moving along here, your Wholesome writing, like I said, we're going to continue on with your autobiography. And for your autobiography, there are kind of two parts to this week's lesson plans. Part 1, you're going to take a look at the slideshow again. So it will be shared with you here, autobiography drafting slides 10 through 13. In slide 10, this is where we start the drafting, and this is where you really get to bring your voice into your writing. Now the goal, you'll notice up here, if you're wondering, well, how much do I have to draft this week? I don't expect you to have your entire autobiography drafted at the end of this week. If you get that far, wonderful, but that's not my expectation. My hope is that you can get a good start on your writing this week. We have changed the word count to 2,000 words. So I'm thinking that I would like for you to have about 1/3 of your draft composed, which would be roughly 600 to 700 words written for this week. And when you're writing, you're going to be writing on the autobiography writing template, which was shared with you last week in OLO week 3. So when you're looking for that document, it will be in week 3. And as you're going through this slideshow, you'll notice there's a video here that gives you advice of how to put your stories together, because you have already written several different writing pieces this year. I have them listed here for you to go through. And then as you are writing here, this is a slide. I suppose I could probably make this bigger. I didn't even think of that. This is a big slide for you to think about, that you don't have to start from scratch. That previous slide I just showed you, you have really been preparing for this all year long, and you can put all of those personal writing pieces together in one spot, your autobiography. You just have to figure out how you can organize them the best. And I've already mentioned that you're going to use your autobiography writing template that's already been shared with you. And if you need help getting started, take a look at these resources. This first one will talk about, how do you introduce yourself? How do I have an autobiography introduction paragraph? Start here. This document will guide you through that process. And then you could also look ahead to the revising and organization slides, and there is an organizational plan that will potentially help you organize your stories by chronological order, if that's how you choose to make your story fit together. The next piece is the organization, and you'll be back into our slideshow, and you're going to be looking at slides 14 through 17. So starting on slide 14 here, we talked in class before break about having a theme that is throughout your entire autobiography. A word that I haven't used in class yet is motif, and so I have links to these two things. They're very similar and closely related, and your autobiography should have either a motif or a theme kind of throughout the story. There should be a common thread, and so I want you to take a look at those links, and it will help you gain a better understanding of that. Also, this video here gives you ways that you could organize your autobiography. A note at the bottom here says the stories that you've already created, you probably have to go back and revise those, and also when you're putting those together, you have to make sure that they transition well between each other. So simply just copying and pasting isn't going to be enough for your final autobiography. Also, when you are going through this process, you might just want to get out a blank piece of paper and start writing out by hand how you want to organize. Or maybe you want to do it on a blank Google document, how you're going to organize your stories together. I also have this organizational plan, which I will show you. You'll notice that this is a view only. However, you can copy and paste these different things into your writing template if you choose to use them. There's different headings that are listed. You can change the name of the heading if you would like. You can take away some of them, you can add some of them, but the ones that are provided here are a guide for a chronological order, and these headings would be headings that I would expect to see in your writing, as they all would work their way to describe who you are over the years. So it looks something like this. One thing that you'll notice at the end here, future hopes and dreams, make sure that you include this at the end of your autobiography. This is required. The other thing that you'll see in our organizational process here is there is a drafting and organization checkpoint. And this checkpoint is shared with you in Google Classroom, and I will walk you through this checkpoint here. This checkpoint will be due on Friday this week, and your checkpoint looks like this. The first question, I want you to tell me, how do you want to organize your autobiography? And all of these different organizational methods are explained in the slideshows. You just tell me which one you want to do, and if those methods don't fit your personality and how you want to share your life story, tell me another way that you would like to create your organization. So then you just highlight which one you're doing and then tell me why you picked that one. And then the second question here, a sequence of events or stories or chapters, however you want to phrase them. But I just want you to kind of map out what your writing is going to look like. So for example, chapter 1. What is going to be the title of chapter 1 in your autobiography, and what stories are going to be included? Chapter 2, title, stories included, and so on and so forth. There is a little note here at the bottom that typically autobiographies have had about 10 chapters or so, not including the introduction and conclusion. However, you can include more, whatever you need to do to fit your needs. The third question here is about that theme and motif that I talked a little bit about earlier. So I want you to tell me, what is the theme or motif common thread that you're going for? What would that look like? And then below that, you're going to list what are your life events that connect back to that theme or motif. How are they intertwined together? And you can add more boxes here if you have more life events than the boxes I have provided. And then lastly, this drafting checkpoint, I want you to tell me how many words are you at the end of the week. So come Friday, type in this box, okay, by the end of the week, this is how many words I have typed in my draft. Now the goal is 600 to 700 words. You might be over that goal, you might be under that goal. I just want to know where you're at. And then a little bit of a reflection of the writing process. Just tell me, how are things going? If you made it to that 1/3 goal, how did you make it there? Or if you didn't, why were you not able to make it there? What's easy, what's difficult in the writing process, just so I can gain a better understanding of how things are going for you. And I believe the last thing on our lesson plans then would be grammar. And grammar is going to look the same as it has in our previous 3 weeks. And here is a summary at the end. My office hours are staying the same. I have the key things that you can be working on for this week if you'd rather look at it in a short list. And then this weekly plan is also shared with you on the hub. Now this is just a guide, this weekly plan. You can move things around however you see fit, but this is just one way that I might organize it for you in a weekly plan. Okay, so that is the long-winded version of our week 4 learning together. As always, reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm here to help, and I'm looking forward to your autobiography writing. You guys have really worked hard on this all year long, and now all of the pieces are slowly going to start to form together. So let's go ahead and have another great week, and I look forward to connecting with you.